Hello, today I'm going to talk about my top 15 Duran Duran songs. The first thing I'm going to say is I actually think that Duran Duran is highly misunderstood. Because of their good looks in the 80s, they were labeled a boy band, and MTV encouraged this stereotype. But I don't think they see themselves this way. I've watched some interviews and I definitely don't think they see it that way. Personally, I think they're an extension of glam rock. While a band like Def Leppard is also an extension of glam rock, they went more in the rock vein, maybe something more like Slade or Sweet. Duran Duran kind of went in the other way, something more like Brian Eno or Roxy Music. Because of this boy band stereotype, I think people dismiss their skill, and I also think that's quite unfortunate. John Taylor is a phenomenal bassist. Nick Rhodes on keyboards brings Eno-esque synths and soundscapes. Andy Taylor's guitar is riff-driven and muscular, spatial, and versatile. The drumming of Roger Taylor is machine-like precision with a human feel, almost disco at times. And Simon Le Bon's lyrics are surreal and impressionistic, mysterious, and his voice is dynamic and instantly recognizable. There are so many tracks I could have included here. I like many of them. In fact, I think their first 3 albums are near perfect. Some I did not include on here that could have maybe got on if I did a top 20 would be Is There Something I Should Know, Anyone Out There, Shadows on Your Side, etc. I don't know. I prefer their early work, so my list is predominantly from the first 3 albums, but let's get into it. At number 15, we have The Wild Boys. The album is Arena from 1984. It's a live compilation album. It's inspired by William S. Burroughs' 1971 novel, The Wild Boys, a book of the dead. Russell Mulcahy wanted to adapt the novel into a feature film and asked Duran Duran to write a theme song for it, but the movie never got made. This is tough and aggressive, perhaps maybe one of their most aggressive songs. It's tribal and percussive. There's this cinematic gunfire guitar throughout. It's kind of like an anthem. Number 14, we have Notorious. The album is Notorious from 1986, produced by Nile Rodgers, Chic co-founder and maybe one of the greatest producers of all time. The funk-inspired track marked a stylistic shift after the band's lineup change. So they decided to go on as a 3-piece. And I still like some of these songs, but I definitely think they were better as a 5-piece. The song reached number 2 on the US Billboard Hot 100. It is sleek, funky, sophisticated, brassy, urbane, quite danceable. And if you know anything about the band, they also had an affinity with fashion and women, and that is on full display here. At number 13, we have Friends of Mine from the debut album Duran Duran from 1981. One of the deeper cuts from their debut, it's noted for its electronic experimentation. Not as commercially successful, but a fan favorite for its moodier tone. I love the chopper noise at the beginning. There's also some kind of John Carpenter vibes here a little bit, but then eventually it turns into a tough rock song. I love the rocking guitar that turns quite experimental at times. The chorus is infectious, and I think a lot of people don't realize how rocking they were at the beginning. If you want to see how much they actually rock, there is a very good live performance on YouTube. I'll put the link below, but they definitely could rock out. At number 12, we have Tiger Tiger from Seven and the Ragged Tiger from 1983. This song showcases the band's early 80s synth-pop experimentation. It is a beautiful Eno-influenced instrumental. It also reminds me of something that Bowie might have done in his Berlin phase. I just love the atmosphere. It's quite beautiful. At number 11, we have the Reflex, also from Seven and the Ragged Tiger, 1983. The 12-inch remix by Nile Rodgers became the definitive version, hitting number 1 on the US charts. This has a great music video. It's partly live, but I think this sounds like white powder to me, if you know what I mean. And if you watch their Live Aid performance of this, they look high as kites. And I would actually say that maybe that is what put a strain on the band, the partying. I mean, that's what happens when you become famous. You kind of get whatever you want, and then that becomes the problem, doesn't it? At number 10, we have A View to a Kill. This is from the soundtrack from 1985. Duran Duran remains the only band to have a James Bond theme reach number 1 on the US Billboard. The song blends cinematic orchestration with the band's signature pop sound, and I think this is one of the greatest Bond themes. It's definitely in the top 5. And the music video is hilarious. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely go watch it. John Barry, the Bond composer, also worked on this with them. He didn't really come up with any of the basic musical ideas. He heard what we came up with and he put them into an order. And that's why it happened so quickly, because he was able to separate the good ideas from the bad ones and he arranged them. He has a great way of working brilliant chord arrangements. He was working with us as virtually a sixth member of the group, but not really getting on our backs at all. That's from Simon Le Bon. The song was the last track recorded by the famous 5-member lineup until their reunion in 2001. It was also performed by the band at Live Aid, their final performance together before their first split. At number 9, we have New Moon on Monday from Seven and the Ragged Tiger, 1983. When I was a teenager, I had Seven and the Ragged Tiger on cassette. That shows my age, but I would listen to it in headphones when I went to bed. I had maybe 3 or 4 cassettes at the time. So I probably listened to it hundreds of times over the course of like a year or two. But that's what I think of when I go to this song in particular. Both Andy Taylor and Nick Rhodes say that this is the band's least favorite music video. Everybody hates it, particularly the dreadful scene at the end where we all dance together. But I kind of like the video. It's kind of a French Revolution thing. And I don't know, they always had really interesting kind of cinematic videos, and I think this was just an extension of that. At number 8, we have Girls on Film from Duran Duran, 1981. The controversial music video featured topless models and caused a stir on MTV, cementing the band's reputation for provocative visuals. I think early Duran Duran is just so tight and tough. It's not really what people think of, I think, when they think of them. On here, John Taylor's bass is almost disco-like, and this song is kind of post-disco or futuristic rock. And again, the rapid-fire guitar stands out for me. Number 7, we have Rio from the album Rio, 1982. The iconic music video, filmed in Antigua, helped define Duran Duran's glamorous aesthetic. The song remains a staple of 80s pop culture. Some may think this should be higher. It's one of those songs that's been overplayed, I think, kind of like Hotel California or something like that. It was on MTV every 10 minutes when I was a kid. I do love the guitar tones and the arpeggiated keyboards. I also like the tenor saxophone solo performed by Andy Hamilton. But there are 13 different official mixes of Rio, so if you really like this song, go out and check them all out. But it's a solid tune. Number 6, we have Union of the Snake from Seven and the Ragged Tiger, 1983. Inspired by surrealism and a sense of danger, the song's video features symbolic imagery. It reached number 3 on the UK and Billboard charts and number 1 in Canada. This is one of their funkiest songs. I heard somewhere that they lifted the bass line from David Bowie's Let's Dance. That could be true, but I think the bass is phenomenal. And the song is kind of sexy. If you haven't heard the 12-inch extended monkey mix, you should check that out. I love the mid-song instrumental breakdown, and I think this is quite experimental for a pop song, something I don't think they get enough credit for. I think it's quite hard to mix pop with experimental ideas, and they do it very well, I think. At number 5, we have Hungry Like the Wolf from Rio, 1982. The jungle-themed video, filmed in Sri Lanka, won a Grammy for Best Short Form Music Video in 1984. The song is considered one of the band's signature hits. I keep mentioning the videos, but that's what they were known for. I think the highlight of this song is Andy Taylor's Mark Bolan-like guitar. I guess it's a song about sexual desire, but I'm not sure you could be that overt these days, so maybe they got away with something, I'm not sure, at least from the male point of view. At number 4, we have Lonely in Your Nightmare from Rio, 1982. I love the bass and synths. I suggest you look up Simon Le Bon's lyrics if you don't know this one. They are quite good, surreal, very imagistic, and I think this track is quite underrated. The breakdown that leads to the chorus is sublime. At number 3, we have Planet Earth from the debut 1981, and this is their debut single. It reached the UK top 20. The video is one of the first to air on MTV and helped launch the new romantic movement. I remember seeing this when I was very young. I was maybe 8. It was pre-MTV, I believe. I think I saw it on regular TV. I'm not sure which show it was, but it was later at night. I remember that. I might have been up when I shouldn't have been. I don't know. The bass line is a revelation. I think this is quintessential Duran Duran. In fact, this is what I would give someone if I wanted to introduce them to the band. The guitar in the chorus is great. Crisp drums. They were really firing on all cylinders for this track, I think. At number 2, we have Save a Prayer from Rio, 1982. I find this song quite sad. It's about a chance meeting between two people that turns into a one-night stand. Simon Le Bon describes the lyrics as realistic and not romantic. It's kind of lilting, stormy. It gives the feeling of walking on a beach at night after a storm or, like a windy night or something. It's a really mysterious song, and no matter how many times that I listen to it, I always get something new from it. At number 1, we have The Seventh Stranger from Seven and the Ragged Tiger from 1983. This is a deeper cut from the album. It showcases the band's darker, more introspective side. And I think this is one of their most underrated songs, in my opinion. I think it's a masterpiece. I do have some sentimental reasons for loving it, but it really is an amazing song. If you listen to it in headphones, there are some really interesting Nick Rhodes keyboard balance tricks going on. John Taylor's fretless bass is just beautiful. The guitar solo is stellar, in my opinion. Again, Simon Le Bon's lyrics are something else. They're just great. And the earnestness in his voice sells it. I don't know. I just think it's a really, really, really good song. And I wish it got more love, to be honest. But that's all I got. That's my top 15 Duran Duran songs. I'm sure there are some you disagree with me on. You can post that below. I know they have some hits later in their career, but I like those songs, but I don't think they're as good as their original 3 albums. So I put a link in the description to my playlist if you want to check it out, but that's all I got. Take care. Have a good day.